Okay, Madam Chair, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Brittany. Welcome, everyone. We'll get started with calling the meeting to order. It's 10:01 on St. Patrick's Day, March 17th, 2022. Good to see you all. I'll begin the meeting with the land acknowledgement statement. Spirituality and culture of the Anishinaabe, the people of the three fires known as Ojibwe, Odawa, and Potawatomi Nation, who have inhabited this land from time immemorial, and further give thanks to the Chippewas of Saugeen and the Chippewas of Nawash, now known as the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, as the traditional keepers of this land. We also recognize the Métis and Inuit, whose ancestors shared this land and these waters. May we all, as treaty people, live with respect on this land and live in peace and friendship with all its diverse peoples. So we have the agenda in front of us. I imagine everyone's had a chance to review the agenda. Are there, can I have someone move to approve the agenda, or are there any additions or changes that you would like to make? Danuta?
I want to make a small addition to the agenda, if I may, just to announce some information on an Earth Day event that I'm involved in planning.
Earth Day event?
Yes.
Okay, so
its title is Earth Day Grey Bruce 2022.
Okay, well, where will we put that then? I'm looking to...
It's basically just information.
Okay, well, we'll add that to, I don't know, let's get to that after the staff presentations.
Okay.
Thank you. Anything else to add or change to the agenda? Is there someone who will move approving the agenda with the addition of the Earth Day announcement by Danuta? Thank you, Danuta. All in favor? And that carries. Thank you. And John is about to join us. Hi, John. Welcome.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, so we have just approved the agenda, John, so you haven't missed anything. Item number 4, please declare pecuniary interest at this point if you have one, or at any point in time during the meeting. I see that we have no delegations and no correspondence. So moving right on to staff report 7.1, we have from the operations department a climate action plan update. So I believe that Steve and Cynthia, or no, sorry, Steve and Trevor are going to take it from here.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, committee here. I just wanted to give you guys an update on where we're at with the climate plans. So staff have been working with the consultant by gathering information for the corporate plan. It has been the intention to get the corporate plan up and going with information being provided to the consultant. This would also provide us some framework for the community action plan. So the information that we are gathering is going to provide us some framework when we go forward with our community action plan. Staff are currently reviewing smaller rural municipalities in similar size and also with rural component as well to see what they have implemented for community action plans, along with reviewing what the County of Grey community action plan is also proposing. So that's our current update of what staff have been working on.
Thank you, Steve. I do have a question, but I will turn it over to the committee if they have any questions for Steve at this point, and then we'll go to Cynthia following that. Steve, if I may, you mentioned it sounds like we're well underway with the corporate plan and the analysis of the data that's been collected to establish a baseline, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that during this meeting as in terms of providing a framework for the community action plan. But I guess my question is, where are we with the data collection and the baseline for our community as opposed to the corporate inventory and corporate data analysis? Is that something you can answer? Or is that a question for Cynthia?
I'm gonna pass this to the Madam CAO first, and then be able to hopefully provide more feedback afterwards.
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Cynthia.
Yeah, and I'm just, thank you, Chair Colburn. I'm just going to jump in a little bit here. Just trying to get myself up to speed where we are in the last 2 months that I've been here. And I think Steve has downplayed what this group will see. I think April 21st is our next meeting. The consultant, unfortunately, we weren't able to meet with the consultant who's doing the adaptation side, but Brian, who's doing the mitigation side, he's got a lot of data gathered and has done a good job on the baseline for our community on the corporate side. A couple of areas that he still needs to do some data gathering, but I think it's going to be very good information for us on the corporate side. He made a couple of observations that sorry, I just got a message from Brittany and I thought it might be related to this meeting. He made a couple of observations that we've actually made some good strides in GHG reductions. So more to come on that. In terms of the community side, I have to admit, I've been trying to get my head around where we are and where we need to go. And my experience is we need to get a really good handle on the corporate side. And there are some metrics on the corporate side that will help us with the community side. I also know that the county is doing a big body of work as well. And just because we have a connection into the county, the other thing is, I think we have been having conversations with our consultant that's doing the corporate plan, and they have some really good observations related to the county's work and the work that they're doing for us. So I know it's been frustrating for this group to be waiting, but there's a lot of things that are happening that it would be our intention to bring some of those together. And I do think we'll have a perspective from the consultant as well at our next meeting. So I just wanted to provide a little bit more context around than the brief update that Steve gave. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Cynthia. Over to the rest of the committee. Are there questions regarding the staff update, the operations update? Luke?
Yeah, I don't really know where to start because I feel like it's a bit of like a broken record. If I'm not mistaken, last meeting we said we would have a work plan for this meeting on the community side, and I'm just thinking that of course the consultants will provide good input. I'm just starting to question a little bit I'm just going to be brutally honest here, what our value add is. We have been waiting for any kind of work plan since August last year. It's 8 months now. Yes, we have the consultants, and I think the presentation last month was very solid. I think they are probably doing a very good job in terms of data collection. But it's still this roadmap that we have been asking for a long time. And 8 months in, I don't think we have much more of a roadmap than we had in August, September. Other than that, we have the consultants on board and they do baseline studies. So, and I know I know everybody's doing their best, but I just so badly would like to see something that we can hang our head on to say, if we get approached by people in the municipality to say, what's the status of the climate action team? I have no idea what to say. And I think that it's now so many months in a row where we get the 2-minute version about what has happened or what has not happened, that I think it's, I don't know how to drive the message home in terms of we are there to help, we are there to support, we're there to advocate, but we have very little to go on. And I feel that's the message we bring to the table every month. And I don't know how to make it stronger. And again, this is we are there to help, but let us help provide us some guidance. We have very little to go on, and yeah, I feel the pressure from people that say, okay, you're on this committee. It came highly recommended. We made a lot of stride early on last year. We were, as the municipality, the cheerleader in the county. Yeah, I would like to stay there. I would like to stay in that position and to be able to say, this is the direction. But I guess I'm asking for a sense of direction, and we haven't seen that since August last year. So yeah, that's all from my side. It's not so much of a comment. It's more like a sense of, yeah, the ongoing sense of frustration, frankly.
No, thank you for those comments, Luke. I think it's important to be honest, and I wonder if if I may, I wonder if we wait till the April meeting, we'll hear more about the data analysis and the inventory and baseline on our corporate side. I think if I'm not mistaken, Luke, what we're maybe looking for is more of an update, more specifics around what's being done with the community data collection. So it's two streams, right? There's mitigation, there's adaptation on both sides. We all get that. But the inventory, the milestone one, is for the corporation, which the consultant is doing. And on the community side, our staff is doing. So am I correct, Luke, in saying that's what we're more looking for as a baseline? Where are we at with the community, not the corporation? That's
yeah. Yeah, and I think it's the community baseline, it's the community engagement plan. It's also kind of, we had discussions over the summer last year in terms of what can every staff member, every department within the municipality contribute to this. So we had a lot of good ideas going for it, and then we had a work plan that basically said we go through a different step, both on the adaptation and mitigation side, and both on the corporate and the community side. And I think we have kind of that momentum got lost a little bit, and I would love to see how we can have a discussion about getting us back on the rails again, and kind of, there's a tremendous amount of goodwill within the community, but how can we tap into that? So yeah.
Is that so? Luke's comments, Steve or Cynthia, Trevor, would you like to make comment further, or shall we go to Danuta next? Is there anything else, Steve, Trevor? I've lost Cynthia somehow. Oh, maybe there's just not enough little squares.
Yeah, sorry.
There you are.
Sorry, I turned off my video. So to the committee, comments well taken. So, okay. I just don't want to say the same thing that we've said in the past meetings. I hope you can appreciate that with 8 weeks in, you know, I'm still trying to get up to speed on everything. So if there was work done last summer, then Steve and Trevor and I will take that away and we will try and resurrect that. Perhaps over the next month, Chair Coburn and Deputy Mayor Carlton, maybe we should meet and just talk about, you know, from a council and a chairperson perspective, you know, making sure that we're on track with what the conversation was last year and where are we headed in the future.
So does that sound like a good idea from the committee? I think I see Sue nodding her head. Yeah, so maybe revisit some of the work plans that we've looked at in the past, Luke, and see where we are on the pathway with the milestones, the programs that we've invested in on the community side. I think, at least I feel fairly comfortable that we're moving ahead with the corporation side of things with the consultants. So I think that's a good suggestion, Cynthia. Thank you for that.
And just one other thing, I think there are 2 things that are on the agenda today that are sort of tangible action items, more related to the community engagement piece as well. So
absolutely,
I'll stop.
No. Thank you. That's that's a good point. I know sometimes I can be a pretty linear thinker, and I have to let myself be a little more creative. But I keep going back to inventory and where is it that the community is at in our greenhouse gas emissions. And that is the basis for an action plan going forward. Over to you, Danuta.
Thank you, Councillor Coburn. I'm supportive of Luke's comments. I thank our Cynthia for her comments as well and appreciate her position. I'm happy that she suggested that we look back at our work, and that was one of the things, main points I wanted to make just now, is that we had a work plan, and it's the only one I've seen, and it's a good one, but it's historic now. But I think we could resurrect it, and it could be attached to the agenda for our next meeting, perhaps, if it was considered still applicable, because that's the only tool we have that we can see and structure a discussion on, in a sense. It's something that's actually there. So that was one suggestion. And regarding the Grey County data, I know from the meetings of the Climate Action Network that Linda Swanston attends. At the last meeting, she did talk about the piece around municipalities and the relationship with the county plan, and how it is important for municipalities to have their own plan. It is not intended that the county plan cover the municipality's plan, so that municipalities don't require plans, but there is a large amount of data based on the community emissions and so on, and certain recommendations which translate into municipal arenas that she is working on getting into a shareable format so it can be consistently shared among the municipalities in Grey County. That's what I took from her announcement. So, and the community of practice meetings are ongoing. We haven't really heard an update about that, but that's where that kind of information might be coming from. Thank you.
Thanks, Danuta. It's helpful for some of us who don't attend those larger network meetings to get a sense of the bigger picture as well. I agree. We need to still have our own plan. We need to still work on our own inventory. And we'll be looking at the county's plan as well, but it's certainly not going to be, you know, Grey County is very diverse. We're different from Owen Sound. We're different from you know, Meaford and the town of Blue Mountains. And I think it would be very hard to take that kind of collection of data, unless they're doing it region by region or municipality by municipality. It would be very hard to take that county data and apply it in any kind of meaningful way to Georgian Bluffs. Unless there's something about that plan I don't know. Yeah, thank you, Danuta. I appreciate all those comments. John, did I see your hand up as well, or did you want to jump in here at this point?
I hit the wrong button. I would just be adding to what Danuta said. So I think she's covered it, and I think remind committee that back in the autumn, it was one of our meetings in the autumn. We were discussing this, and Trevor had said that they had applied to the county to get a breakout of the community data for us. I understand at the time the county was going through the revised plan and they were reworking some of the numbers, but that's all done now. And as Danuta said, Linda and her staff are working at getting that broken out, but it's mostly done. And you can get a pretty good idea quite quickly of what our community contribution is by the emissions per capita that the county has estimated and the population that we have in Georgian Bluffs. And when you look at, and this is something I've said in past meetings, when you look at other areas in Ontario that have done both the corporate and community, the corporate typically comes out between 2 and 5% of the total emissions in a municipal area. And so this is one of the reasons that our committee is so interested and concerned about the community component of this plan, because as we go forward and take action, the action is, you know, the lowest hanging fruit is the corporate, and it's the community where we're going to have the biggest challenges. So that's all I was going to add. And I've said all this before, but it probably bears repeating, especially with Cynthia sort of coming up to speed on all this.
It sure does, and thanks for doing that. I'm taking some notes too. So I guess this question is for Cynthia, if I may, or perhaps Steve. We will meet, Sue and Cynthia and I, but I wonder if Trevor might be able to provide us with a report on what's happening with the data collection on the community side and taking some of that data from the county plan. I know it's not going to be perfectly polished and complete, but at least it gives us some idea of where our community might be at in terms of emissions. Is that something that we might be able to request? I know that's only a request because I know you have multiple priorities and other things on your plate, but I think it might help our committee understand what work has been done on the community side in terms of data collection to date. Cynthia?
Yeah, so thank you. I think that's a reasonable request. I think if we're looking for that for next meeting, I do know that it's going to be a very busy meeting. So I think we've heard loud and clear that we need to be much more specific and provide much more detailed information around what the roadmap is for the community aspect of things. And if there is data available, yes, we can put that in a future report. I'd like to have some offline discussions about whether that's for April 21st or that's for the following meeting. I know that April 21st is going to be a busy meeting for this group.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments for the operations side? Cynthia, I'm going to lower your hand, otherwise I'm going to think you're wanting to speak again.
No, I'm just waving.
Oh. Okay, over to you, Anne.
So thank you, and I'm really happy to hear kind of some movement on this. One of my wonderings is because the corporate plan is going to take a lot of kind of time in our meetings. It pretty much is going to take the April meeting, which means then we're into possibly the May meeting. I wonder whether it would be worth actually scheduling a mid-month meeting to specifically focus on the community action plan, which seems to be the one that's causing the most angst. And it might kind of feel like it's getting our committee kind of back on track if we're able to sooner rather than later put a bit of focus on the community action plan.
Yeah, or I was going to suggest, I think that's a good idea, Anne. I was going to suggest we still receive a report if it's possible from Trevor. We may not get around to discussing it at the very busy April 21st meeting, which will mostly be focused on the consultant's report, but at least it would give us something to read and ponder over before the May meeting. Is that doable, or do we go with Anne's suggestion to have? Are you thinking about a meeting later in April then, Anne, or early May?
Possibly early May. I'm just aware that our meetings are towards the end of the month, so we're looking at 2 months away. That brings us pretty close to a year into the work of focusing on the community piece, and it feels like that's a long ways in, not to have a concrete kind of plan of how to move forward. So yeah, possibly early May.
Okay, Cynthia, your thoughts on that?
Thank you very much. And to the committee, I would really like the opportunity to take this away and discuss with the chair, the deputy mayor, and our staff. I think if we're getting too specific about how we get the information to folks, I'm not sure I can commit to an additional meeting. I'll be perfectly honest. We've got a tremendous amount of work on our plate over the next 2 months, and so I'm not sure that I can commit to that. So I would really like the opportunity. We've heard you loud and clear today. I would like the opportunity to take it away and have some discussion. Thanks very much.
Okay. So maybe following this meeting, we can book a time for that offline meeting with the three of us. If that's okay with the rest of committee. And we will move on now to 7.2. This is one of the tangible action items that I'm excited to hear about. And I believe it's Brittany who's going to present this. This is GB Goes Green. As usual, our clerk and the other folks on that committee, I think Anne and Jenny have done a great job. This is, again, I would call it low-hanging fruit, but it's also bigger than that because it generates some awareness and excitement in the larger community. And I've said it before, if anyone can bring passion to a project on staff, it's Brittany. So take it away, Brittany.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if you'll bear with me for a minute, I'm just going to share my screen with the committee as the standing committee and I have created a little bit of a presentation to guide us through our review of the report today. So just confirming that everybody can see my screen. Perfect. So again, thank you, members and Chair Coburn, and thank you to my fellow colleagues on the steering committee. We've met a few times and had some really good discussions about how to roll this tool out to the community and how to inspire some engagement amongst the Georgia Bless community, not only to get people excited about climate action, but to facilitate some information gathering for this committee and development of the plans and analysis of the data that we've had a lot of discussion here today about. So we're calling it hashtag GB Goes Green. You know me, I love a good hashtag. So to get us started, at your meeting in January, we briefly discussed a tool that was commissioned by the Collingwood Climate Action Team, which assists households in calculating a baseline footprint through Project Neutral, and that is the Community Carbon Footprint Challenge. So households have two options to participate. They may join the challenge as a single household, or they may do so partnered with their neighbors or other households as a team. So the tool is divided into three separate parts, being measure, act, and connect. The first part, being measure, is where we really need to focus our efforts on, being the 5-minute survey that any household can go on and complete, which will survey the participating household regarding their overall carbon footprint in areas including transportation, home heating, recycling, etc. The responses are then taken, calculated, and compares the results to the top 30% of households which actively support a healthy climate. Following the measure tool, their results are then applied in a kind of tangible, personalized action plan that assists the participating households in evaluating their overall carbon footprint and how they may improve upon leading a climate conscious lifestyle in their everyday lives. Further, the tool allows participants to connect with one another. So it connects participants to others online and throughout the South Georgian Bay community as well. So the most important part of this tool that I briefly touched upon is the gathering of the metrics. Gathering of metrics at a local level to assist this committee in developing the community climate action plans, etc. Really helping the community identify how they can be more climate conscious and how we can apply the results of the surveys to public education events, getting people inspired to get involved, etc. So while it's worth noting that while individual household surveys remain confidential. The tool does provide kind of generalized metrics that we can then use to create those community climate action plans. So there is a piece of confidentiality. People don't need to be worried that we are evaluating their carbon footprint on a case-by-case basis. It's more of a generalized metric system to help us in our planning throughout the future. And that brings us to, how are we going to get people to get involved? How do we get the most amount of people to complete the survey to create those metrics that I keep talking about? And that's where Green the Bluffs hashtag GB Goes Green comes into effect. So the steering committee and we've kind of put our brains together, and this is what we've come up with. So particularly considering trees, I know that this committee has had a lot of discussions regarding trees and their benefit to the climate action planning process, hence our recommendation to this committee today and then subsequently to our council. So our proposal is that for every 5 households that complete the challenge, this township will commit to planting 1 native tree. Not only does this assist the committee to get people involved and excited through the incentive program, but it will also allow people to get out in the community and see the kind of tangible results of their participation in this survey, which I think is a really exciting opportunity for this committee and for the community as a whole. Our goal is to have 222 households participate in the tool, completing the survey in 2022, which will result in 44 trees being planted throughout the township at various community centers, recreation centers, parks, and common areas. Now you'll notice those are undefined to give us some flexibility as to where we plant them and I guess just where we plant them. And I want to make a note that the steering committee was very clear that they should be native trees and they should be planted in a way that's conducive to biodiversity. So just as a highlight for the committee. So to help track our progress and really keep the community engaged, we've come up with a greenometer or a greenometer, however you'd like to say it, concept. Now this is a rough draft, so bear with me. I hope to engage some professionals as to how this could look a little bit better when we create a literal standing greenometer for our township facilities, our municipal office, etc. So you'll see it's kind of traditional to what you would see in another fundraising campaign. So every time we meet a milestone, the greenometer will be updated to reflect those changes. So you'll see, just for comprehension, I've indicated where 5 households for 1 tree planted and how the green will continue to move up and up as we move closer and closer to achieving our goal. So now to consider our financial impact, we have included a total for this project of approximately $33,000, and that will be included in the 2022 budget. We've budgeted $150 per tree to give us some flexibility in recognizing that they should be native. So we've limited our options. So we've budgeted conservatively and don't anticipate it to move beyond that $33,000 mark. And to encourage cost savings, I would encourage members of council, the Township Climate Action Committee, the Community Action Committee to come out and voluntarily lend their efforts to plant these trees as we move towards our goal. So next steps. Our first step is to repeat exactly what I'm doing here today with an amended version of the report, essentially the same, just with an amended recommendation. Bring the presentation and the report to council for final endorsement, and then we can really get going. We can create the greenometer, etc. And also the steering committee and I have talked a lot about how to take the metrics that we get out of this survey and apply them in a way that we can respond to through educational resources, through a tool that I'm calling quote unquote Green Talks. It's a play on TED Talk. Just very small, fun short videos that explain how anyone can start even in the smallest way to start living in a more climate conscious environment. So something as small as planting a vegetable garden and having subject experts record these TED Talks and then upload them to our climate portal on our website. So depending on the results of their tool and completion of the survey, they can then learn more about how they specifically can lead a more climate conscious lifestyle. So with that, I would welcome any comments from my fellow colleagues on the steering committee. But that summarizes our GB Goes Green idea.
Thank you, Brittany. I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. And congratulations to our subcommittee for putting something together it's little, but it's big too. You know what I mean? Like it's tangible, but it's also awareness and education. I love it. So I don't know if anyone has any questions. I do have a couple of comments, if I may. And this is putting, again, I tend to put the cart before the horse, but when we look at getting trees that are native to the area, I know my spouse and I have ordered, we planted probably 20 trees on our property last year. Most of them came from the Grey Sauble Conservation Authority tree program that you have to order very early because they sell out. And those are all native species and they're so inexpensive, and it would be nice to support that partnering organization as well. I see heads nodding like you already thought of that, so that's excellent. And again, it has to go to council for endorsement, and if it is endorsed and approved, endorsed by this committee and approved by council, I wonder, and this is directed at staff, I think mostly, can we use this as a big media launch? Like, let's invite the media, let's have the mayor doing his thing, cutting a ribbon or planting a tree, or, you know, let's really generate some excitement and momentum in the community by highlighting the work that this committee's done and our staff and our municipality. So thank you very much, and congratulations on a great program that we hope council will approve. Danuta.
Very brief question, and that was a really ray of sunlight listening to that presentation. I'm assuming also there's obviously a maintenance thing. That those trees, I was wondering what age they're going to be. I know Grey Goose Conservation Authority, they come with bare roots. They're very tiny saplings, and they're going to need a lot of care in the first few years. And are we also looking for volunteers for the maintenance of these trees, as well as the planting of? I know, looking at Neighborhoods North work that they do, they have a wonderful system set up for ensuring these trees survive.
Yeah, that's a great point. Brittany?
I would say the more volunteers, the better. Not only from a cost saving perspective, but also from a community involvement perspective as well, just to keep the engagement up and running and at the forefront.
Yeah, excellent. And we do have park staff that do maintenance at our parks. So for some of the trees that are planted there, hopefully there'll be a way of you know, watering when the weather's hot and dry and so on. Luke?
Yeah, I love the idea as well. I think it's fantastic that that you've gotten this far already. Yeah, fantastic. I wonder, I love the green talks idea because I think it's such a super cool way of using the infrastructure you already have. And I can see, for example, school kids saying, okay, this is actually a go-to place if I want to write something or do it, you know, whatever it is that's easily accessible. And I wonder to what extent we can provide you or support you uploading a number of, I don't know, two-minute vignettes about the simple things in life that we can do, so that we have more talking heads. I think it's always nicer to have a collection of 25 or 35 people that actually each provide their own little ID. Yeah, super, and happy to participate in the simple ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy to volunteer to do planting and whatever is needed as well. And we have a butterfly garden that was planted last summer at one of our parks, Centennial Park, I think. And it would be really neat to highlight that group of folks who planted that. That was all volunteer based and funded. And it would be nice to be able to highlight that as a 2-minute green talk as well. Let's see who, I think Sue, maybe, did you have your hand up as well?
Yes, I did. I think they're all great ideas. Just one comment. Gray Sobble does sell larger trees. Those are the ones that have to be pre-ordered. So while if you go out there on the Saturday morning for the tree sale, you get smaller ones. We could order larger ones. And I was also going to say that township staff would then, if they're going on township properties, that would be the responsibility there. So volunteers would help, but we would have staff looking after that as well. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Sue. The trees we ordered through, again, you're right. There's the show up and buy the little seedlings kind of sale, but then there's the online orders. Some of the trees we ordered were 8 feet tall, 6, 8 feet tall. So they're pretty substantial, but they do, as Danuta said, they do require a fair amount of care in the first year or so. Danuta. Oh, hand up from before. Okay, excellent. I don't, oh yeah, Anne, sorry, over to you, Anne.
So wonderful response, folks. It's really nice to have something presented and see this level of enthusiasm. Just a piece of information. It was actually Luke's daughter, Anna, that did the butterfly garden. And I think having a little vignette of Anna talking about how you could also do one would be terrific if she'd be willing. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that we have the locally produced film Resilience, that if we could add that to the portal of information that we're talking about creating, because it gives a really, really positive, hopeful message around climate change and climate action. And it might be a really nice introduction to have there along with all of the other vignettes that we're talking about creating.
Yeah. Do we already have that link on our website, Brittany?
I don't believe so. I don't believe so. So we can.
So I wonder if we could ask John, since he's sort of the star of that show, to provide that link, that resource to Brittany. Would you mind doing that, John? Thank you. Okay, excellent. Now I have a very strange view going on my screen here. I see there's a hand up, and I wonder, is that you, Jenny? Over to you.
Thank you so much, Councillor Coburn. I just want to say thank you for allowing me to sit in today with the committee, and I just want to put on record a little bit that it's been really helpful. Our steering committee has been a pretty productive group, and I just want to say thanks to Brittany for really taking taking this forward and bringing it to you today. She's done a great job, and I'm looking forward to working with you on this as a group, and also with various members of the committee. So thanks very much. I think the importance of community engagement through this process and really supporting people to talk about and learn about and work together collaboratively, the way that we're doing from the climate action team with the municipality, I think that's really important, because where the legs are in this is folks becoming more conscious and aware and learning and taking action together. So thanks very much for your response to the presentation today. And thanks, Brittany.
Thank you, Jenny, and my apologies. I should have started the meeting off introducing you and welcoming you to the meeting. So if it's not too late, I do that now. And now my phone is ringing. Turning that off. Thank you very much for not only coming today, Jenny, from the community, but also for being part of that subcommittee. And I agree. I think that this is where the legs are, the people in the community who are already interested and invested in in going a little greener. Okay, so I do have a motion for this particular item that I'll read and then just ask someone to move. That the Township of Georgian Bluffs Climate Action Committee hereby supports the GB Goes Green initiative as proposed herein, and further recognizes and acknowledges the benefits of the proposed project for the Georgian Bluffs community, gathering of metrics, and the overall climate action planning process, and recommends that council endorse the program, including the recommendations contained therein. Do I have someone who will move that motion? Thank you, Luke. All in favor? Opposed? And that carries. Thank you, and thanks again, Brittany. So on to 7.3. This is in regards to the green cone digester system. And who am I turning it over to now? Stephen? Go ahead, Steve.
Through you, Madam Chair, to committee today, I just wanted to bring a report forward to get support on purchasing 1 pallet of green cone solid or solar digester system. The green cone solar digester system will be offered to the sale of residents of Georgian Bluffs. Just so I have a little background on it. Currently, the township sells approximately 30 of the black earth machine compost bins, so the black compost bins per year to the residents at a break-even cost. The earth machine compost bin is designed for the composting of foods and yard waste. However, it does have limitations on what materials can be composted. So staff are looking to purchase these green cones that will allow residents to compost more food waste and further reduce the amount of household organics being disposed of in landfills. So last year, in 2021, the township was credited with diverting 206.8 tons of waste from landfills through the sales of the backyard composters. So we are looking to further that reduction with the purchase of these green cones. The green cones allow for diversions of meat, fish, bones, dairy products, coffee grounds, tea bags, raw or cooked food, and small amounts of pet waste. So that is why we're looking to purchase it. It will also help us with the more materials to be diverted from the landfills. So right now, what staff are looking for is support from this committee to purchase one pallet, so 55 units, and be able to sell them to the residents of Georgian Bluffs at a break-even cost.
Okay, excellent. Thank you, Steve. And, you know, I feel like we should have started the meeting out with these 2 bits of good news and progress. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was Danuta that brought the green cone idea to this committee initially. It feels like 100 years ago, and yet it wasn't that long ago. And here we are moving forward with it. So thank you very much. I know here in my household we use the earth machine that we purchased from the municipality. And I think this is going to be another nice addition to that. So questions or comments for Steve, Danuta?
I just couldn't help putting in a plug because since we've had a green cone installed for the last 2 years, I've only been putting out 3 garbage bags a year, and they don't stink.
Yeah.
So it's a really amazing device. I don't know what happens to the bones. I guess they just end up in the bottom. But anyway, it doesn't smell. We did have to reinforce it with rocks around its base to deter the coyotes from digging it up.
Good point. I did wonder about animals getting at it with all of the organics inside. So that's a good hint. Thank you. Luke.
Yeah, just a huge thanks to Steve and team to make this happen. Wonderful to see an idea brought forward by Danuta and now put for sale within relatively short period of time. Wonderful, so much appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. And now getting the word out so that people realize they're available. I mean, I think we should be looking at reducing the amount of paper that gets sent out for obvious reasons. But since we're already sending out the odd newsletter with the tax bills or whatever, if that's still being done, this would be a nice thing to add to that newsletter, I think. Anne, you were next.
Thank you, Chair Coburn. What I wonder about is I think that we have an expert, or at least somewhat of an expert in our mix on using a green cone, and whether we could ask Danuta to do one of the small green talks around how to use it, so that we don't have coyotes or raccoons digging them up in the neighborhood. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yep, coyotes and goofy grand doggies that come to visit as well. Yeah, good point. Okay, and I saw one other hand up. Was that Cynthia?
Through you, Chair Coburn, Anne just stole my thunder. I was thinking that the vignettes would be a really good idea. Like, this is a good example of where we could promote this type of activity to our community. So
Definitely.
great minds, Anne.
Okay, that's awesome. And seeing no other hands up on this item, we have a motion before us that the Climate Action Committee hereby supports purchasing 1 pallet, 55 units of the Green Cone Solar Digester System at a quoted cost of $6,050 plus shipping, estimated at $500, exclusive of HST. And that the Green Cone Solar Digester System be offered for sale to residents of Georgian Bluffs at $140, which is inclusive of HST, effectively providing these units at a break-even cost. Do I have someone to make that motion? Thank you, Anne. All in favor? Opposed? Very good. So that will go forward to council as well, I guess, Steve, right? For their approval? Okay, perfect. And thank you very much for your work on that, Steve. These are all practical solutions when we talk about looking at our household ways of improving. This is one thing that hopefully a lot of people can buy into and do. So that's super. No questions in public question period. I doubt Brittany would tell me if there was. Nope.
Sorry, yes, there has been none.
Okay. And unfinished business, I wonder if, or there's none, maybe to new business, we can go to Danuta for an Earth Day announcement, please.
Thank you, Chair Coburn, and I won't take too much time with this, and some of you already know about this event, but this is my official announcement to Georgian Bluffs Climate Action Committee. I'm part of a planning group of 5 people who got together late last year talking about something we could do. Basically, some of the same people as organized the march in September that happened in Owen Sound. But we wanted to do something different for climate action, and we fastened on Earth Day. So I'm going to read the goal, our goal, and then just to give you a little shot about what the program is, and that will just take me a few minutes. Our goal is to champion a celebratory Earth Day event that energizes us all to take steps towards climate action, including mitigation, adaptation, and justice. We hope to involve a diverse number of community groups to participate in a celebratory, child-friendly event that includes a low-carbon living fair, a parade, music, dance, drama, and art. We want to learn and share ways we can do things differently and all take action on climate change. We acknowledge that we live in the traditional territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation and welcome the participation of Indigenous people and groups in the event. This event is happening at the Farmers Market in Owen Sound. We have secured the site and booked it with the city. The city of Owen Sound is helping us with some setup and providing some materials for the event. It will happen on April 23rd, which is actually the day after Earth Day, but that is a Saturday. And it will be in the afternoon after the closing of the markets, taking place between 2 and 5 p.m. on the market site. We've moved forward with a program, and starting at 1:30 p.m. on the other side of the river opposite the Tom Thompson, there will be a water ceremony led by Elder Shirley John with members of Mawikwadong Indigenous Friendship Center. And that may take up to half an hour. We're not sure how long, so we have put that in advance of the event for people to attend. And then starting at 2 p.m., there will be a gathering at the markets, and there will be a display area featuring local organizations and community groups involved in environmental activities, local food, climate action, community gardens, arts, and other activities and initiatives that promote creative and greener living, and to provide connections and resources on what each of us can do. Between 2 and 5 p.m., there will be ongoing displays and performances by and with local groups and individuals under and around the market canopy. There will be face painting, there will be 2 puppet shows, craft activities, games, and some performances by musicians. We have the Durham Sauntering Band coming to lead the parade, which follows at 3 p.m. There's a children's parade that includes adults and participating groups, whoever wants to join it. This parade will be led by the Durham Sauntering Band. I believe there's about 20 of them with brass instruments, accompanied by the Bognor Longlegs on stilts, and include costumes and papier-mâché creations. The route will circle the river from First Avenue East, crossing the 9th Street. Basically, it goes around the river without crossing any roads. So it goes along First Avenue East, across on the bridge, and then along First Avenue West, and then back across the other bridge. And then following that, between 4 and 5 p.m., we have live music, and that will feature Coco Love Alcorn and Drew McIver. We'll also have the Poet Laureate giving a brief presentation, and performance by the Owen Sound Dance Academy, and our MC will be John Farmer, and I'm sort of going off the page here, but we're looking for everything. We're looking for people. It's charged for the event. We are hoping to fund it through donations. So we're looking for donations. We're looking for volunteers to help with the parade, to help with setup, to help with cleanup. We're looking for all kinds of involvement and engagement, and that's what that's about. So, Brittany, I can send you an invitation. We have our first newsletter hot off the press, and I can send that to Brittany if she would like to distribute it to the staff and council members at Georgian Bluffs as an invitation.
Excellent. Thank you, Danuta. That sounds like a really fun day. A lot of work and planning goes into that, so we look forward to that as well. And yeah, my question was going to be, can we somehow get the word out to council and staff to support this? And so I'm sure Brittany will do her best to get that as part of the correspondence for an upcoming meeting of council. Any questions or comments for Danuta on the plans for Earth Day? Anne?
So this is actually a question for the committee, and I guess Brittany, in that, would this be a place to actually profile greening the bluffs? And is it too late, actually? So that would be the question for Danuta. If that could be an option for the municipality, is it too late to get on board for that?
Yeah, I'll turn it over to Brittany. We of course we have to get council's approval on this, and I'm not sure when that's going to be coming up on an agenda and how that fits in with the timing of Earth Day. But Brittany, do you have any comments?
I would say leave it with me. I'll see if I can work some magic. I'll let you know.
Thank you. That sounds perfect. And thanks for bringing that announcement to us, Danuta. That's exciting. Okay. Under new business, I just wanted to bring forward a bit of good news sharing, and this has to do with the Sustainability Network. This is not a group that I'm involved in, and I'm sure there are people on committee here who know way more about this than I do. But I just thought it was nice to share that the Greenbelt Foundation has awarded the Sustainability Project with a grant. And that will be to pursue a new landscape and development narrative for Grey Bruce. This project will examine aspects of land use change and landscape resilience in urban and rural neighborhoods through a changing climate. So congratulations to the folks who have worked on that project and in getting the grant to make that happen. Is there anyone on council who could speak in more detail to that particular project? Anne?
Just to actually, what I can speak to is it was the nature-based solutions of the Georgian Bluffs Climate Action Team that actually pulled this project together and needed a corporate body to take it under its wing, and that's the connection to the sustainability project. So that's kind of nice. It grew out of a local initiative.
Yeah, thank you for making that connection. Another win for Georgian Bluffs in going green. Thank you. And Danuta.
I just wanted to mention that in conversations with Lee and what I understand of it, it really is a project which needs input, because what they're talking about is a vision. So I know that the sustainability project has to put together, or the nature-based solutions group need to put together an advisory board, I believe, as part of the grant proposal. And so they're looking for qualified and also community input. And so it's good to look at those links and see how anyone can contribute, because it's not going to be done for us. I think it's really another one of these big community, a thing that really, the more input they get, the better it's going to be.
For sure. Yeah, thank you. So lots of exciting things going on. It's good to hear that. Okay, and with that, I'll move on to item 11, notice of motion. Does anyone want to bring a notice of motion forward from this group? Seeing none, we have no closed session. Excuse me. The date of our next regular meeting of this committee is April 21st at 10 a.m. So we'll see you all again then. And I just need a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Danuta, and all in favor. Thank you. Good seeing you folks, and we'll see you again next month, if not before.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you, and thank you to staff.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.